We acknowledge that Tri-Cities Community Television operates on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Coquitlam First Nation. We thank the Coquitlam who continue to live on these lands and care for them along with the waters and all that is above and below.
Hi, it's Cathy Cena with Tri-Cities Community TV, and you're watching Catching Up with Cathy. We'd like to give a big thanks to the Coquitlam Library for donating the space that we are in today, our studio. And our guest today is Glenn Pollock with the City of Port Coquitlam. Welcome, Councillor, but I'm going to call you Glenn if that's okay.
100%. Yeah.
So it seems to me that you've been around for a long time. You know, you've been living in Port Coquitlam for over 45 years. You know, and you're only 46. So where were you? Where were you? Actually, Trail, isn't it? Trail? Where were you born?
Well, I was born in Ottawa, but my dad was RCMP, and we moved around as kids. We moved every 2 years. Back then, the RCMP, when they promoted you, they moved you. Mm-hmm. And so I lived in Ottawa, Sault Ste. Marie, Sudbury, North Bay, back to Ottawa. And then we moved to Winnipeg, and my dad retired from the RCMP in Winnipeg, and we moved to Trail. He became head of security at Cominco, and now tech. And so,
Fantastic. Yeah. And you've been a city councillor since 2008.
Yeah.
It's a long time.
Love it. I love doing it. Yeah. You know, I mean, I have the discussion with Mayor West once in a while about term limits, and he said the term limit's when you don't get reelected, and you know, it's when people think you've been there long enough. So I hope to do another term. I love doing it. I retired from my day job about 2 years ago, and I have so much time to get everything done I want to do. So
yeah, and it seems like you're really active in the community. You sit on several committees. You're a city representative for so many of them as well. Homelessness, housing, and the Tri-Cities Healthier Communities as well. So we're going to get all into those kinds of things. So in terms of, you know, the city development and infrastructure, I'm going to put my glasses on just real quick so I can see what I've written here. What are the priorities for managing Port Coquitlam's growth while maintaining its community feel? Because, you know, if I didn't live in Port Moody, I would move to Port Coquitlam. I feel it's an amazingly run city. There's that community aspect to it. So you know, there's a lot of big things going on. You guys just got a ton of money from the government, and we'll get into that after. But what are the priorities for managing Port Moody's growth while maintaining its community feel?
Well, first of all, we're lucky. Like Port Coquitlam is lucky that we have a clearly defined downtown. You know, our downtown is defined by the river on one side and the rail yard and kind of the going out to Kingsway on the other side. So it's really clear where our downtown is. And we think that's important. That's one of our priorities, is to get revitalize our downtown. We've bought a lot of property strategically downtown in order to have a say in what goes on there. Like when we have somebody develop, we can say, here's what we want, you come and develop it, right? And so when you're speaking of infrastructure, we want to be able to, you know, densify somewhat down there, revitalize downtown, and still have people move in and out easily. We need a new bridge where the Coquitlam River is by Metro Ford. The Coquitlam River Bridge is nearing end of life, and so that's going to have to be upgraded. We're trying to get senior levels of government involved in that. I think one of the biggest challenges we're facing, I mean, all the challenges that are facing us are similar to other communities: homelessness, housing, community safety, infrastructure, addressing the infrastructure gap, and another one is transit. And I haven't had time to digest yesterday's provincial budget. I had a quick look last night and what I could find online. I think there'd be a much more fulsome package of information coming out today, but it didn't seem to me there was a big increase in transit funding.
Right.
And Mayor West, we got the best mayor in my opinion, in the world, but at least in Canada. I can say that with evidence. He's the chair of the transit board.
Wait, is there, like, you know how they have Rate My MD? Is there a Rate My Mayor?
No.
Is there a Rate My Mayor?
No, there should be.
Canada's really, that's, I'd say maybe in the province, but you're really giving it to all of Canada. He's the best mayor in Canada.
So I think, yes, he's doing the best job, but also he was at a mayor's conference in Denver, Colorado.
Yes.
And Anthony Blinken, the mayor, invited him three mayors.
I heard about this, yes.
That was the mayor from Canada. He invited to that meeting. So Anthony, Secretary General of the United States, thinks he's the the best too. But anyway, he chairs the mayor's committee on transit, and they have a $600 million shortfall that if it doesn't get addressed, they're going to have to start cutting routes. And I think and we'd like to see SkyTrain eventually come to Poco, never mind cuts. So
I know.
I think we need to senior levels of government again. I haven't had a lot of time to digest last night's budget announcement, but I saw something that said it's a proceed on as they're doing with transit with no big increase. But we need both the provincial government and federal government to step up and help us out, because that's a challenge facing all cities in the Lower Mainland.
My next question talks about roads, parks, and public spaces. What's city planning doing to improve these spaces for the community and for the residents of Port Coquitlam?
Well, we've got a capital plan that includes road upgrades every year. We had a company come in, a consulting company come in a few years ago, and they sent a van down every street in Poco. The van had ground penetrating radar and cameras and everything, and it assessed every inch of pavement in the city. So we know where we need the upgrades most, and we're doing that. And we've got like a 10-year plan to do that. And we're not doing it haphazardly, like paving one street over here and one over there. We're doing it by neighborhood. We go, here's the neighborhood that needs the help the most, and we're moving around the whole city doing neighborhoods. We also have another thing Mayor West came up with, our pothole blitz. It was the last couple of days. I think today being Wednesday, I think it was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday this week. We have our pothole blitz where we fix every pothole in the city in 3 days. And there's once the snow's gone and the plows are quit running over the streets, we find out all the damage the plows have done. And so we had the pothole blitz on. That's going on right now. And as far as parks, we're always looking to upgrade our parks. We got provincial money in the last election campaign to do a covered lacrosse or a covered sports multi-sport facility. We hope to get that going soon. We're doing an upgrade, adding a third synthetic field at Gates Park. So those are active parks. We're also doing. We're expanding, doing a small expansion to one of our off-leash dog parks and routing other off-leash dog areas. So, we need people to be able to. We're so lucky to have. I think other people envy us where you can walk out. Mike can walk out my front door in Poco and go see a salmon spawning river. Depending on the time of year, the salmon spawn right across the street from my house. I see bald eagles. We got so much. Great outdoor space in our city. We need to nurture that and keep it in good shape. So,
is there any project that's upcoming that you're excited about, or anything that we should be concerned with?
No, the two that I'm most excited about are the covered sport box and the new field at Gates Park. But any that I could be concerned with, I don't think so. I think we're hitting above our weight as the municipality in how much affordable housing we're doing. We've got 3 buildings on Kingsway right near the bottle depot that people drive by all the time and be familiar with. They've got they're getting near the end of construction there with the Affordable Housing Society, and they're all going to be subsidized, 300 units of subsidized housing. And then once those are done, Affordable Housing Society has a townhouse complex right next door. I think the plan is still to move the people out of those into the new one, as well as many other people, because I forget how many townhouses there are. They're not anywhere near 300. And then they're going to maybe upgrade those ones or demolish them and build more buildings there. So that's and then we've got a 63-unit building on Welcher Avenue coming with Metro Vancouver Housing. So we're doing lots of affordable housing, and that's something that I'm very passionate about, and I'm happy to see happening in the cities.
Yeah, and that segues into my affordable housing questions. What is the city doing? You talked about subsidized housing, for families, and how is this also going to be affecting our seniors? Are you doing anything for seniors?
We are. We're this close to having a building done. I can't give many details, but we're working on a 100-unit building for truly affordable. I believe it'll be RGI, rent geared income, which many of the truly affordable housing is rent geared income, where you submit your previous year's T4 and you pay a third of your income to shelter. So that's truly, in my mind, affordable. Is it, I know people struggle if they're on income assistance, when they only get like $1,800 a month or something. If you're paying a third of that, it doesn't leave you a whole lot of extras when you think about the price of groceries and stuff. But I think I think we're punching above our weight there. I think that's a huge priority. I know that our Director of Development Services, Bruce Irvin, and I went about a year and a half ago. We went and met with Wilson Center Senior Advisory Committee, and about their concerns about where people are going to go. And at the time, there was a building being built close to the arena that was dedicated seniors housing, but it wasn't affordable. It's market rate, and it was every bit as expensive as a traditional one-bedroom apartment. So I think as a city, we need to do that. We need to find partners to do it, though. I got to be clear. We don't have the bandwidth or the money in POCO to go build buildings ourselves, and so we have to look for partnerships, and that's what we're doing.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So we're going to shift to transit. What kind of transit options and ease of traffic congestion does POCO have? What are you guys sort of dealing with on that side?
Well, I think we're lucky to have the West Coast Express. It's funny because I took my granddaughters had a pro D-Day on Friday, so I took my two granddaughters, and they're 9 and 11. Two of my granddaughters have five grandchildren, but
5 or 7.
Yeah, five. So I took the two that live here locally, though. We went on the West Coast Express, the last train at 8:04. We went downtown, took the C bus over to Lonsdale Quay, and went and played at a park over there, and then had a treat at a coffee shop over there, and then we took the C bus back and went downtown, had a bubble tea, and then took SkyTrain back. And so, but my wife did meet us at Coquitlam Center, and we took the girls out for lunch. But it does speak to the fact that we'd have good transit. I think I worked in Vancouver for 30 years, and I took transit to work for a large part of that because I had two sons in university, and we took a car off the road. But I think we have good transit options with the West Coast Express and the SkyTrain being fairly close to us, and with good reliable bus connections from the bus loop by the Port Coquitlam Community Center to Coquitlam Center. We've got the rapid bus coming down Louis Highway now, the B line from Maple Ridge right to Coquitlam Center. So, but SkyTrain ultimately would be the best option for POCO to get people in and out in a truly a quick, reliable fashion. And Mayor West has got us moved to the 10-year plan with TransLink for that. And I think right now they're doing TransLink is doing a study on that on how best to bring it forward. So. And
what about some what are the thoughts on expanded bike lanes and pedestrian friendly areas? What are you guys doing about that in POCO? Yeah,
we're doing bike lanes. We're doing what's called MUPS, multi-use paths. They're the thing to do now. We just did a new one along Kingsway, a multi-use path that has clearly delineated bike lane, sidewalk. It has lighting. It has garbage cans. It has benches to sit down. So it's that's the future, multi-use paths. Be honest with you, our council's somewhat divided on that. I mean, it's there's two ways of thinking of that: build it and they will come, or build it when you need it, when you think there's a capacity there. So we've built some bike lanes. We built a dedicated bike lane on Maryhill Road or Pitt River Road, pardon me, from about Shaughnessy going up towards Taylor and that way. And I have friends who live along there and they say they never see a bike on it. So it took away a bit of parking, didn't take away a ton of parking, but that's the thing. That's the argument, is whether how you do it. But we all knew that the multi-use path on Kingsway was much needed to connect the CMO and Kingsway to the downtown. So, and it's almost done. I think they're just doing landscaping around it now.
So how's the city supporting public safety and ensuring first responders have the resources that they need?
I think we're doing that. We've changed our focus a bit in POCO. We haven't. Our crime rates are down to historic lows in Port Coquitlam. And we've added less police in the last couple of budget cycles, but we have added more bylaw, and we've got an upgraded safety level for our bylaw officers. They're called peace officers, and so they have the insurance and protection by law and stuff of a police officer, and we find them to be much more. We've got a great police force. We've got a great superintendent of the RCMP, but ultimately, the RCMP has a boss in Ottawa and maybe a boss in Victoria and a boss in Coquitlam and a boss in POCO, whereas our bylaw staff are dedicated to POCO, and they can address concerns that we have as a council, such as vagrancy and loitering and public safety in our downtown core. So we found that adding bylaw officers is a little bit more nimble to our demands than adding more RCMP. Although the RCMP do a great job. My dad was RCMP for 30 years, and I'm a big fan of the force, and they do a great job. But they've done a good job, as I say. Our crime stats in POCO are I forget, but the lowest in a long time.
What kind of programs are in place to support youth, seniors, and the vulnerable population in Port Coquitlam?
We've got the mayor's community panel addresses some of that. Plus, we do speak of that at a number of tables. We got the Wilson Center Senior Advisory Committee, and a table I sit on is the Tri-City Health and Communities Partnership, which is led by Fraser Health, but it's got representatives all three of the Tri-Cities and Amor and Belcarre, I think, they just generally weigh in on teams. It's the new reality, Cathy. It's a I forget what they call it, but a meeting where you can attend either in person. We do it at the Port Coquitlam Community Center, or on Teams, I think it is, or Zoom, but I think it's Teams. Yeah, and we have a big flat screen in the meeting room. And a big thing in the middle table, so everybody can attend that way. I think that I think that's valuable to have that. I personally like in-person meetings more, because I find that just as much happens sometimes before and after the meeting, or between meetings, when you're talking casually with people than happens within the confines.
A personal connection.
Exactly.
And you're reading body language a little bit more differently, and you're there in front of them, and I totally agree.
Those tables are so valuable, and that one in particular, the Tri-Cities Healthy Communities Partnership, is so valuable for the networking. I had a young lady on that committee just send me I'm involved in a food recovery organization called the People's Pantry. She sent me this great list of other ways you can find food, because it's a challenge right now to find, especially protein, meat for. We're competing with other organizations to get people's garbage in order to help feed people, right? It's good food, but they're discarding it, right?
Right.
And it's competitive, so it's sad.
Sorry, just because I did interview prior for People's Pantry.
Yeah.
Did you guys find your location?
Yeah, we're in Port Moody, and we're doing well. We've got.
Are you part of the Share Food Bank now, or not?
No, we a lot of people access them all.
Yeah.
Cathy, they'll go to we distribute about a 40-pound hamper. People get a banana box full of food on a Sunday or a Monday. But people, if people are really struggling, they need more help than just so they'll get a hamper from us, possibly, maybe from Food Link, formerly Immigrant Link, maybe from, there's House of Omeed. There's so many organizations doing good work, and it's really sad, that we have to be doing that. Food banks were brought in by labor unions in, I think, the 70s as a temporary stopgap, and now they're, we have 300 people, 100, and we have a wait list, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's crazy.
So, as you know, I live in Port Moody, and we're considered the city of the arts.
Yeah.
And recently, Coquitlam has been coming up with a lot of art projects. So, what's Port Coquitlam doing in terms of arts and culture and enhancing the recreation opportunities in Poco?
Yeah, it was open when I was on council, but it was planned before my time. We have the Arts Hub in downtown Poco. We have the outlet, which houses the Heritage Museum, but across the hall from that, you've probably been there. There's a great artworking hub. We have an artist in residence who has a space in there. When they're there, they can do artwork, and the rest of it is used for people. It's a great facility set up for the arts. Our former post office, and then behind that is the Michael Wright Art Gallery, where we display art and art focus works out of there. So I think we do a pretty good job. Of course, groups would tell you it's never enough. They could do more, certainly, but we do have a thriving arts community in downtown. We've tried over years, and when I say we, it was mainly Councillor Dean Washington. We have an organization called the Port Coquitlam Sports Alliance, which brought all the sports groups under one umbrella, and they get together and they talk about what the needs are and prioritize, and then come back to us. So it's very well organized. Councillor Washington tried to organize a Port Coquitlam Arts Alliance along the same lines, because I think sometimes they operate in silos, and if they get together and work together, I think it'd be beneficial to the community. But I can't say I know where that's at right now, Cathy. So yeah.
So, Glenn, are there any plans to expand or improve community centers, sports facilities, and parks? Like last week, we were just in a beautiful, community center that you guys, built out. It's absolutely gorgeous there. But what else is the city doing to expand these types of services and programs?
Well, there's the two I mentioned earlier, the covered facility and another synthetic field, which will address a demand in the city. But we're also looking at, it's on the 10-year plan, capital plan to redo Hyde Creek, because it's, the PCCC. I'm so proud of that. It was, I
know.
I was big in helping on the plan that, as we're all a council, but I've coached.
I know.
Lacrosse for 35 years.
It only took 22 minutes to get into that conversation.
But I also coached hockey for 16 years, so I'm big. Yeah, and I use the gym there 3 days a week. My granddaughters go swimming there. We use the library. I love that place.
Nice.
But you know what's so cool, Cathy, is that you talk about how nice it is, and it's awesome. But that big hallway that goes down the middle of it was the architecture company, Architecture 49, who did a great job in that, called that a bumping space where you bump into people. And I tell you, that happens every time. I'm in that place 4 or 5 times a week, and I run into somebody every day in there. Every time I'm in there, I run into somebody I know and have a nice chat. So I just love that, and love that there's a little coffee shop there, place to sit down. So we got to try and replicate that and bring it. It won't be nearly as big. It won't have the library. Certainly, the library. That's our city library. 2 floors. I think it's beautiful, but we have to do Hyde Creek. It's been around. Oh, I'd be guessing at exactly how long, but probably 50, 60 years, and it's getting towards the end of life. When you're dealing with pools and chlorine and stuff, it's hard on machinery and metal like pipes and stuff, and so. It's getting towards the time where it needs to be replaced too. So we'll have to do that.
It sounds to me, though, you're meeting the needs of the Port Coquitlam residents in so many areas, and I think, again, Port Coquitlam, I'm a little biased. You know, a little biased. You know, you just check mark so many boxes when it comes to, you know, we talked about outdoor spaces and walking areas and community centers and seniors living, because I also saw that there's a senior center upstairs too. I think.
Yeah, Wilson Senior Center.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So there's just so many, you know, young families, and you're you know, catering to the seniors as well, and everything in between. So I think that, as a whole, I can hear it in your voice when you talk about Port Coquitlam, how proud you are about the city that you live in. And, you know, we're going to switch to some environmental sustainability and things like that. Do you, sorry, did you want to?
Can I speak that just quickly?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think we got a great group on council. We work well together. But I got to give Mayor West credit that he's, you know, he said a tagline we use in the city is back to basics. Like we as a city are responsible for parks and rec, garbage, the library, you know, the police, community safety, fire, the things that we do, we want to do well. We don't want to be, not to criticize other cities. We have other cities that are maybe going, let's go over here and do this, try this. And it's not in your jurisdiction. You know, and that sometimes could be a double-edged sword. I mean, homelessness doesn't fall under our, that's a provincial government responsibility.
That's right.
But we still experience every day, and we have to work with it. And we've got a great compassionate bylaw department that works with our homeless population, you know, in a very compassionate manner. But I got to give Mayor West credit. He's really led the charge on that, on getting back to basics.
I mean,
he is. He's awesome.
A few years ago, when we had the huge, you know, snow dump, I mean, there he was with the plows and at 5, 6 in the morning doing his thing, and that's what I remember. I don't really remember other mayors doing that, you know, and Tri-Cities or not, you know. But I think he's very hands-on, and you know, I even know Poco Biz Awards. He was at a lacrosse game with his children. I'm sure he wanted to be there, but you know, I love that you guys have that work-life balance. I think I was going to say that to you. You're going to the gym. Obviously, that's mental health, and you want to do that, and you're doing your council stuff. Later on today, you're going to Metro Vancouver. Like, there's always a lot of moving parts and things that you guys are doing, and I think it's important. I think that's very important because in terms of you can't just be bogged down with one thing. Like, oh, I'm just doing council 30 hours a week, and that's all I do.
Yeah,
you know,
and Brad's, you know what, he and I ran for council together in 2008. And we were both fortunate enough to get elected. And I'm just so proud of him. I coached him in hockey when he was like 14. Wow. He's the same age as my middle son, Lee. Yeah. But I'm so proud of him that he works hard at that, because he's got a beautiful young family. And I, as an old guy, said to him, like, I was told by Mike Gates, who was on council, Gates Park is named after Mike Gates.
Okay.
I knew Mike through lacrosse, and Mike said, hey, I have an interest in city council. He said, Glenn, wait till your kids are a little bit older, because you know what? You lose control of your schedule to some degree. So I waited till my boys were all in their 20s, I guess. And Brad's making sure, even though he's the mayor and very busy with a very busy schedule, he finds time for his boys, and because he trusts us to do. I'm sure I'm sure he would have done a much better job than we at the Best Biz Awards. But you know what? We enjoyed it, and we were there filling in for him. So
no, that's amazing. What initiatives is the city taking to promote environmental sustainability and address climate change?
We have an environmental strategic plan that is just finished. I have to check on the timing, Cathy. I apologize for that.
That's okay.
We just finished it, and it went for public input twice. It went during. Here's what we're thinking of doing. Like, what do you think of it? And then had another one. Like, here it's done. Now, what do you think of it? And it's funny because there's a young lady that lives in our townhouse complex, and her company, works in the environment industry in some capacity, and she and her husband live in our townhouse complex, and they got a little baby girl now, I think. And her company bid on that job, but she didn't get it. But I said, hey, I could ask you to do me a favor. said, keep an eye on that anyway, and let me know what you think as we go forward. And she said she thinks it's a very strong plan that addresses, everything that should be addressing. And so I was really happy to hear that. I mean, because we have an unbelievable staff. We're so fortunate to have the staff we have in POCO, but it's good to have an outside expert that say, hey, yeah, this is good. What you're doing is good. So yeah, so that's, I mean, we've done all the low-hanging fruit. All our rooms, the lights go off after a little while. We've done all that low-hanging fruit. Now we got to do bigger stuff, right?
Yeah,
we've got some electric vehicles and that, or low carbon emission vehicles and
so
stuff.
You're reducing that carbon footprint, which is great.
Yeah.
In terms of 2008, we're in 2025. What's been your most amazing time? The thing that you're the most proud of in all of the years that you've been on council?
I think the most. I take great pride in the community center, but that was a group effort. I think the one I'm probably most proud of, Cathy, is the Atira Women's Resource Society building, the Alex. Like, I saw that property was vacant in 2013, and we don't have time today to talk about all the hoops I had to jump through to get. I found out it was Metro Vancouver property, and I went to a guy named Don Littleford at the time that was the housing guy for Metro Vancouver, and I said, hey, that piece of property is vacant. Can we build some housing on that specifically for women? Because through the Housing and Homelessness Task Group, I found out that, there's a lot of women homelessness. Everybody just thinks men, but there's a lot of homeless women. And it took me probably, we didn't cut the ribbon open until 2023, so 10 years to get it open, but it took 5 years of fighting to even get it considered. And so I'm most proud of that. There's 83 units of subsidized housing with women-headed leases. There's families in there. There's a family, my wife and I, helped get in there. They're a family of 9, mom and dad and 7 kids from Syria. And they're in a 5-bedroom townhouse in there because we built it. There's 2 5-bedroom townhouses, and I think it's 6. There's 12 townhouses, and it's 2 5s, 4 4s maybe, or 5 4s, and then the rest are 3s. And then 3-bedroom suites in there. And I challenge you to go by there and think it's affordable housing. It's beautiful. There are wraparound decks on some of the buildings. It's a beautiful building. It's got a daycare on the bottom floor. It's got 9,500 square feet of vacant space in the bottom floor. There's supposed to be a community health center that I'm still fighting for with the provincial government, with the assistance of Atira and the Fraser Northwest Division of Family Practice. So hope to see a community health center in there. And if that community health center comes in, that'll be complete. That'll probably be the thing I'm most proud of as a city councillor, is that I got that done. So
just before we wrap up, is there anything else you want to share with me?
I just want to thank you so much for having me. I want to thank you for coming to the POCO Best Business Awards and being on hand there, because one of my great concerns as a city councillor is how we get the word out and things. And I talked about that night, Cathy, and we talked about it prior to the meeting, that when we got elected on council, Brad and I, in 2008, there was 2 community newspapers that published 3 times a week, and now both of them are gone. And the Tri-City News now has been online, but now it's gone offline, I think in June or something. And so we're going to have to depend on, thank God you guys are here, and that you'll get the word out on what we're doing for anybody who wants to watch this. And during election time, it's, going and being able to do an election thing online to say who you are and what you're about and stuff is valuable to the community, I think. And so thank you for doing what you do and for being here and for having me today.
Thanks for saying that. We really appreciate that, and appreciate you believing in what we do and everything else. Today you are listening to Councillor Glenn Pollock from Port Coquitlam City Council. The only word that I have for his enthusiasm is passion. He's a very passionate person about being in Port Coquitlam, living, working, and breathing Port Coquitlam. So thanks so much for watching. It's Cathy Cena with Tri-Cities Community TV and Catching Up with Cathy.